roll on. Let me just see. Let's think about it. We got some water. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, but I want to go into some other things. While we're doing, I want to go into some other things. Well, Jimi Hendrix would have been a Messiah. You say, well, how is that? Wait a minute, hold on. How you talking to these people that music is a Messiah? All you got to do is study history. About 100 years before Christianity, the Christian cult became dominant. So only mystery of it is it was at a certain time in history that it had to become dominant. And it's no different between that and any other religion that was on the planet. It had to become dominant, it had to become prominent, mainly for Europeans. You understand what I'm saying? They were going to be the rulers. That's the way the world was going. They had to have a mythology. They had to have a religious system put in place. You see what I'm saying? So it's more political, and it's more, it has something to do based on time than it does divinity. 100-year period of the original people of Greece and Rome, which were black people, the Etruscans. You hear them say on the thing, they say the Minoans, people who worship the sacred bull. And the sacred bull is Osiris and also Dionysus, the Etruscans. You see what I'm saying? These are the people, they say the Etruscan. Rome got the entire culture from another black culture that was there before them. So they got all these particular aspects of cults that's around. And one of the cults that was dominant about 100 years that gets its way out of Kemetic and all was the cult of Orpheus. And Orpheus was the same equivalent of Messiah as Jesus in the land at that particular time. Orpheus. Orpheus is a poetic, he's a poet, he's a musician, and he's in the creative arts, and he's a Christ figure. You see, he's a Christ figure. And this is right before he was eclipsed. Two of them, the mysteries of Mithra, which was another Christ figure. There's several Christ figures. Mithra, Abraxas, Jason, Hercules was a Christ figure. Same mythology that applies to Jesus applies to all these particular ones, going all the way back to Horus Heru. You see what I'm saying? So one of them is Orpheus, who is a musician. Now the people who rule us study mythology. You've been thinking that mythology was just some stories. Mythology is so advanced until they got PhDs on mythology. See what I'm saying? It's a very advanced study. As a matter of fact, when a lot of scientific stuff that I'm studying break down, I have to go to mythology to sort it out. Because the mythology is on such an advanced level. Anytime you hear the word simple but sublime, you see what I'm saying? Simple but quite clever. That's what mythology is. So one of the keys is, at that particular time, is Orpheus. Orpheus is a musician, a muse, music. He's an artist. He's a poet. He's a creative Messiah. You see what I'm saying? And the only thing they did was Jesus came in and basically, based on the certain priests, they started taking certain things out. We don't need this. We don't need that. It was edited. Gary Greenberg in his book told, and when he was talking to Tony Brown, the Jew, he said, they just edited shit. There was a group of ancient writers, and they had all these ancient texts coming out of Kemet in the ancient world, and they just edited down to fit their political agenda. You understand what I'm saying? So they say dancing and singing is out. So they just edited it out until we put it back in the 20th century. Always spirit. So dancing and singing in the church, and if you really look at the church, that's all they ever really was. A good disco. You see what I'm saying? Half the people in the secular music, so-called, came out of the church. So it always comes back. Because that is a part, the music is a part of the divine. And that is the Messiah. You say, how is that the Messiah? It's the messianic system that goes in place, an expression of the soul. Because the great mystery here is the Christ only means the soul. There is no mystery about it. It's in all of us. The book was a blueprint, you see what I'm saying, of our soul. And music, the arts, poetry, literature is the expression of that, and that's spiritual. So it is key why they would bump off several black people in the black community that became messianic-like through music and entertainment. You see, and even there was a person in the room with this fella in 1984. There was a person in the room. Always do that. When Betty Shabazz died, she said there was a person in the room when my grandson got framed for this. You see. Well, why would they bump him off? Well, he was getting ready to take this thing to a whole nother level. He said when he said I put out Sexual Healing, he said in the next couple of albums I'm gonna do the tantra thing. He'd gone to Europe, and you're going to Britain, and they were studying all the Kama Sutra and the Tantric and all that stuff that they had gotten out of India. He was over in Germany and all that. So he said, I'm coming, I'm going to take this love thing to another level, and that means it's going to be tapping in. He had already done enough. Hell, the I Want You album, you see what I'm saying, is one of his greatest. But he got off Motown, he signed with Columbia, they bumped him off. You see what I'm saying? But you're saying why? Because they have to kill the muse. Kill Bob Marley. Kill Jimi Hendrix. They got some texts out of ancient Egypt called the Rites of the Lucius. Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn Society and them had these texts. I think they got them from the Moors or something, because they had all, the British Museum was brimming with all these particular texts. One of the texts that came out of Egypt, but it was come from the Latin, was a something called the Rites of the Lucius. And the Rites of the Lucius is a play of Osiris and Isis and Horus in a play that later on became A Midsummer Night's Dream with William Shakespeare. You know, Midsummer Night's Dream, William Shakespeare, got movies on that. Well, before it was that in Egypt, it was the Rites of Lucius. So Aleister Crowley and them, the British occultists and them, took it in the early 1900s and took it on the road to Cambridge, Oxford, and all of the major universities in Europe. The play got banned because when they was doing this play on the Rites of Lucius, people were going in altered states of reality. Just like music and what a good play's supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? They were going in altered states of reality. So they banned the play. So the scene shift about 70 years later, or 60 years later, Jimi Hendrix is in Europe. His music is putting folks in altered states of reality. And so they had to set up to kill. So they put the woman in. She gets up. She notices he's vomit. She goes back to bed. That's the part of the agent. She wakes up the next day, he's dead. Same thing happened to Carly. She got up. She walked in. She noticed that Carly had vomited. He's laying on the floor. She went back to bed for 6 hours or 3 hours. Didn't call. That's an agent thing. And the next thing you know, she's in Israel somewhere. His ex-wife. See what I'm saying? So Jimi Hendrix, they went back to bed. But before she called the black woman, this one, you know, she called this black woman that was over there. One of his friends said, he's vomited and stuff. You know, And see what it was going back to the United States to hook up with the Isley brothers, because he was going to bring the whole style of guitar and the stuff that he was dealing with, he was going to bring it back to the black community and enhance the blues on this end. And they said, no, we can't let him out. He was getting ready to go, and the woman convinced him to take the sleeping pill. See, that boy is so slick. They got they put out a compilation, 1993 compilation of Jimi Hendrix. And in the CD cover, they tell the whole story. They say, ain't nobody gonna believe you. It's right in there. They say she convinced him to take the sleeping pill. And he took the sleeping pill, and when he got up, she knew he had vomited, and she went back to bed, and he choked on his own vomit. It was all, but one of the black girls she called one black girl that was over in Europe, over in England. She said, I can't wake him up, or whatever, he vomited and stuff. She said, is he still living? She said, yeah. She said, well, get him to the hospital right quick. She said, I can't do that, because I got some dope in the house. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. She said, call the ambulance. I can't do that, because I got some dope in the house. Well, you can't take the dope and throw it in the trash can or bury it outside or something? It was all a plot. But his music was putting people in altered states of reality, and there's been a Messiah check on when it comes to musicians and artists since the 1930s. You see what I'm saying? How they killed your boy, they just took him out. Your boy, Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke had his own publishing. He had his own, he had a gospel label. He had a funk, whatever of that day. Doo-wop label or whatever you want to call it, or early 60s soul. He had that label, and he's like, hey, you ain't leaving nothing for us. Mm-hmm. Set the whole thing up. It was set up in the hotel, shot and took it right on out. They've been doing this stuff for years. It's either political or spiritual, and economical. Right. You got to recognize. Davis Bacon, O.J. Simpson, had eluded them in what they call their greatest tragedy, is he got freed in 1995, and he could never live that down. They said, well, we have a chance, because they deal with ritual, we have a chance to redo that with Michael Jackson. So they delayed the trial from 2003, 2004 to 2005. They bumped off Johnny Cochran. That's the first part of the plan. Mm-hmm. We're going to kill him. And then your boy Azariah showed how they do it and stuff. They got a gun they shoot you with now.
The chrono gun.
And it gives you, what do they call it?
Chrono gun.
Chrono gun. Gives you a brain tumor.
Yeah,
they did it to Reginald Lewis back in 1992 or 1993. So they bumped off Johnny Cochran. They was going for the jugular vein. They said, we're going to get Michael. And something happens, no matter how rigid the rules are, something will happen in the game. And Michael he didn't get not one count. He was freed on all counts, and then this lady was throwing up the doves. And they said, damn it, he got away. They said, okay, don't worry about it. Luther checks in the hospital for a routine checkup.
He died.
Kill him, take him straight out. Who dies from a stroke 2 years later? Right. You know, they got bombs out there that have 4 or 5 strokes on old English 800. It ain't dead. And here goes one of the richest men in the country, and he gonna die from a stroke. You believe that? That was revenge. They do this stuff all the time. You see what I'm saying? Like Lou Rawls, his wife buried him with a purple suit on and a purple Kingo hat turned backwards. That's not even indicative of his era. This man was seen mostly in tuxedos.
That's right.
Told the family, you gotta sit in the back.
Took out your boy Billy Preston.
Billy, man, you see what I'm saying? They held Richard Pryor at bay for 7 years. He was a zombie. They had that woman in there, and they was keeping him alive. They do all kind of monstrous stuff. You got to understand what's going on. You see. So I just want to put that stuff out there on the Messiah, but it's based on the Orpheus. Now, there's a movie, Jason and the Argonauts, the one from 1963. You need to get that. And you need to get Jason and the Argonauts 2000. Orpheus shows up on the Argo, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. shows up on the Argo, because our story is all in the Jason and the Argonaut story is the story of an indigenous people that's transported to another land. That's us. That's one of the texts that came out of the Library of Alexandria. If 1-2000, Orpheus shows up on the Argo, the ship. And isn't it interesting that Orpheus, the Christ figure, isn't it interesting that Orpheus, in the 2000 version, happens to be a black man? It's not by mistake. Then it sets up a chain reaction for you to understand that they've been killing these people because the Sufi teachings, which Sufi means more, woolly-haired one, which is described in Ernest Scott's book, People of the Secret. The Sufis said, what's the guy that's the great, he does Sufi books on music. Hazrat Inayat Khan said that the new music of, the new religion of the future won't be a religion, it will be a music. That means that all scriptures and stuff would go into the spheres and it would be a music. Because basically, they say heaven is within, so obviously music has to play a vital part in that. You understand what I'm saying? I talked about how in the Book of Thoth, Alex Crowley's Book of Thoth, they mention it once and we don't hear it that much until Richard King talks about it, the Barahadna chakra, which is a chakra of inner ear melanin. The Barahadna chakra. They talks about that and it says that the Horus lock, which is the god Horus. Y'all all right? Yeah. The Horus lock is not that it says that the Horus lock that you see here, when you get the word warlock later on, this is the baby Jesus or the baby Horus. Take your pick. Because guess what? I know the conscious people don't want to hear this, but guess what? The people in the church worshiping Jesus, they right on track. It's still Horus wherever you put it. So it doesn't matter based on the name. You see what I'm saying? And that's the only level that they can go to. Otherwise they would be in here, but in so many words, they still get it. When you look on a bigger picture, the spirit world say everything is as it's supposed to be. That's right. So, in our honesty, through the Jesus story, they are in on the Horus story. It's not a tragedy. It's just a version of what would come from slaves and what was given to them, but the Lord didn't give them some stuff that gave them the same stories. So the baby Jesus or the baby heart, either way you got to become this. And I'm going into this in a few minutes. But just the Horus lock is, they said it is not indicating the lock of hair, it's indicating what's inside of the ear, called the Barahadna chakra, and Richard King called it the inner ear nucleus. It's the doorway to the temple. And it's all based on your music. That's the key. The religion is the music. Whatever floats your boat. You know what I'm saying? Me, I got all kinds. I get albums because I got turntables and stuff. I get albums for $1.50. And because they're so cheap, I got me some damn Johnny Cash. I said, why do I like this shit? Come to find out Johnny Cash got all his shit from black people. That's right. That Ring of Fire, that's some good shit. And it's mythology. There's one song where they say, it's in the West, and the mama telling this boy, don't take your guns to town. Leave your guns at home. And he takes the gun to town and get his ass killed. That's mythology. You see what I'm saying? You're going to find out that the origins of country music, and the PBS did a special late one night, that country music came out of a group of hillbilly black bands that died out by the 1930s because the music industry said, well, we'll choose the blues to record in the Smithsonian. We won't record the black hillbilly music. And that's what trained those folks. The hillbilly music from black people and the church. Country music is niggerized. It's ours. And they got a guy, let you know they do ritual. They got a little short guy, I can't think his name, on the Grand Ole Opry. He used to come out with a harmonica, and he would open up the Grand Ole Opry every time they did a thing. He would come out and open up for him. He was like the Tahuti or the Anubis or the Ganesha. He was the opener of the way. It was a ritual. But the black hillbilly music didn't get recorded. They said, we'll do the blues, and the folks took that. So Johnny Cash, I said, why am I buying this shit? Because it ain't nothing but blues. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying, I have multiple things from Duke Ellington. You see what I'm saying? The Cameo. I got it all. You see, but my point here is the music, and guess what? You get old when you start listening to music. What happens? You listen to music when you're young, and you get old, you start listening to it. And when you start listening to it, that's when you die. The music is the key. That's the Orpheus. And he is the hardest, and they say it's in the ear. And they won't put this stuff in books. Crowley mentions it once in his book of Thoth. He mentions it once in the section called The Fool. The Fool is the first in the Tarot deck. It's the Egyptian Tarot, the book of Thoth, the Egyptian Tarot. He mentions it because the Tarot system came to Europe by the Moors. They brought the Tarot, and the playing cards came out of the Tarot. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, they got divination where you can divine from playing cards. Called it Destiny card books. You see what I'm saying? All that stuff was science of the Moors. They got it out of the Library of Alexandria. You see what I'm saying? Now, so, they talk about their Barahadna chakra and also the inner ear melon. Now, that's just like me. I knew it. I knew I was going to kick it over. It was the only one with the ice in it, too. But anyway, going back, the music is one of the keys. It's one of the keys. You see. Now, moving right along. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Shoot. Y'all all right?
Cool.
All right.
I'm going to get a movie called The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant. It's a cartoon that came out in '99. The Iron Giant. And the Iron Giant is about a giant that came from another planet with superhuman powers, but he got hit in the head and didn't know who he was. Does this story sound familiar to you? Very humble, very nice, that's the boss. But when he found out who he was, he had a defense system that was so advanced until it was more advanced than the technology on the earth that the powers that be had. That's where we're going to go tonight. But it's simple, but sublime. Okay? Whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead of myself. It's called an Iron Giant. And he found it, and when he comes down to earth, he can only hang out with a child and a beatnik. That's a boy that was in the jazz that understood the black man. The only two he can hang out with. It was done in the 1950s. Well, it took place in the 1950s, this robot. It's called an Iron Giant, and it's another story about you, and it's saying that you have a defense system inside of you that if it comes online, it's more powerful than anything that the powers that be has. Because it can make those things stop operating. And it's inside of us, inside of the DNA. Because the first thing when this defense system comes on this black man in the movie, which is a giant, two serpents come out the top of his head. Two electronic serpents, that's supposed to be this robot. That's the Kundalini energy, and that's down by the way though, 8080. You see what I'm saying? That's the DNA. That's the DNA spiral. Now, it's getting interesting. Just know that in the Milky Way galaxy a month ago, the Hubble telescope or whatever picked up a star cluster in the Milky Way galaxy that was a perfect double helix spiral DNA lined up in the stars.
I saw that. I
Yeah.
saw a picture of that.
I got an element piece on it. As above, so below. It's all happening. Just remember that. They picked it up. They said they're going to find 12 more, but they're not going to tell anybody about them. Just follow me for a minute. Just a minute. As we go into certain things. In order, what you need to do to strengthen the DNA and the cells in your body is you need to get some. You can do it two ways. You notice all these ancient movies, I figured they didn't have but one thing to eat. You always see these people on these epics that used to come out, Ben-Hur, the Jesus epics, always the king of some part of Rome or Greece. Every now and then they might show a Pharaoh or whatever. But I'm like, they don't eat but one thing, grapes. You ever seen they sitting around and all they do is plucking grapes? I'm like, damn, did they have any food in the ancient world? All I ever see is grapes. Come to find out, not only the wine, that what strengthens and regenerate the cells. Let me give you the story. They got a group of black people in Detroit. All of them is 50 plus, 50s, early 60s, 60s and 50s. And they done hooked up on some stuff and got some conscious people and start drinking grape juice, and they started regenerating their cells, and they were getting younger each day. You used to see some of these people, they going back to damn 30s. But there's a key. The key here is that the grape juice we have has sugar in it, high fructose corn syrup. Mm-hmm. And the grape juice, the sugar shuts down the cells for 5 hours, enough for the grape juice to pass through. The key here is two things. If you drink the Welch's, what they started doing was this. You can do it two ways. I'll take the easy way. I'll tell you the easy way. The one way is you take the Welch's grape juice and you put a pinch of baking soda in the glass, and the grape juice turns to cobalt blue in it, destroys the sugar, and you drink it, and it goes straight to the cells and start regenerating the cells. So I said, I gotta go and get me some baking soda, some Welch's grape juice. So these black people in their 50s, their 60s, and they have regenerated their cells. So another way is you can go, I got it at Walmart. You go to Walmart, you see the juice aisle. On one aisle, the aisle right before that, and it's the same in other countries, other cities, because when I was in Indiana doing a lecture, it was the same way. The aisle before the juice aisle is the kosher aisle. And they got a kosher grape juice called Kadim.
Yes, sir.
It ain't got no sugar or nothing in it. That's what them drink.
That's right. That's right.
Kadim.
I got a bottle of it in the car. That's right.
You can get the Kadim, and it does the same thing, but you got to get it and just start drinking it.
Yes.
And it regenerates the cells.
K-E-D-E-M.
What's that?
K-E-D-E-M.
K-E-D-E-M, Kadim. And it don't have no sugar, nothing, and it goes straight to the blood cell, goes straight to the cells.
Yes, sir. That's the bomb. That's it.
And the stuff works.
Jewish stuff.
That's that juice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they ain't them ain't gonna be in the nut that ain't gonna work now. They ain't like black folks. We loyal. Shit ain't worked since we've been here. Or at least ain't worked since 1957. We still in it. The History Channel will show you the stuff that's coming out. The History Channel came on. They did a thing on how Elvis, 10 days it changed America. And they said one was how Elvis changed America. And they said it had something to do with the civil rights movement. I said, well, it came on at 8. It was already at about 9, already about 8:45. I said, no, I'm gonna wait till 11 and catch this shit. I want to see what lie they gonna come with. So I watched this thing on how Elvis changed America. when he went on the Ed Sullivan show, I said, let me see what they're going to do. Oh, now they're going to make Elvis Martin Luther King now. But to my surprise, they came with it. They said that basically, in so many words, and it's the same story we know, but they documenting it now, that America in the 1950s had a certain rigid mentality that would not be the precursor for modern America. They was locked out a certain amount of things. And in so many words, they say because they didn't have the black element. And they said not only did Elvis bring the music from our side of town to their side of town and make them go crazy, they said that he even went down to the black community and bought the clothes that black people used to wear in Memphis. And when they saw those clothes, you know all them colors and shit, you know black people. You know what I'm saying? And they saw them clothes and said, hey, it's all right to wear an orange suit. They went crazy. And they said, well, by the time they did Ed Sullivan, they saw black culture that normally, you see what I'm saying? The new black culture, because they had it from Duke Ellington on back to Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Jerry Woodmont, but the new stuff, the black radical thing that would later on become modern rock and roll. They took the roll off in the 70s to make it say rock. You see what I'm saying? But what they were saying was that their culture transformed America. They said, and by that time, when the civil rights movement came about, white America, the youth had already had a rebellious attitude enough to allow the civil rights movement to happen, because not only the rigid power structure was not dealing with black people sitting in, they were dealing with their own children. They later on became the hippie and tune in, tune out, and whatever. You see what I'm saying? So, but they broke it down every day. I was like, man, these people, something's going on because they're telling the truth. They broke it down from his dress, his talk, his speech, to his gyrations, all black. They even went to the churches he used to hang out with. They went to the clubs he used to hang out with. I said, so it's a whole new thing that's coming down. Y'all all right? I just want to put that. I want to put that out. Okay, let's see here where we going with this thing here. Couple of things. Like I said, they also found 16 statues of the goddess Sekhmet. The goddess Sekhmet in Egypt recently. Now this is very key because this has a lot to do with where we're going with this particular information. I just want to get a couple of things off my notes before we go into some things. Interesting, they killed Octaves Butler. You know, she's the black sci-fi writer. All of a sudden, she falls in the driveway and hit her head and she's dead. Yeah, right. You understand what I'm saying? You know, anytime...
How long ago did that happen?
That was in February. February the 1st of March. You know, she's the black sci-fi writer, Octaves Butler. You see what I'm saying? So all of a sudden now, she mysteriously falls and she's dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they did that, the sister that was doing the work on the water. What's her name? Mona Harris.
Mona Harris. Yeah.
Mona Harris, and all of a sudden she mysteriously dies. You see what I'm saying? Because she was doing the work on the water thing.
In the brain.
You see, you know, because water and melanin goes together like peas and carrots. You understand what I'm saying? So she was doing the work on that, and all of a sudden, she falls out dead. So what I'm saying here is this here also. I was talking about the music, and I said the music is a part of the religion. I got a 31-man equalizer. You saw it. The brother Kwaku went up to New York, and he got him a 31 band. And then I told him, I said, well, you just went on another initiation level. I said, what? I said, wait a minute. I said, what's happening here is there's spirits. And based on the octaves, those spirits here inside of you, they rise up. So there's certain octaves. That's why the CD, when one of the guys in 1990, he took his Miles Davis album collection and traded it in for the CDs. And when he got home, he had been listening to Miles Davis since the 1950s. He said, wait, something ain't right here. Because I've been listening to this thing. And he looked on the back. They used to print it on the CD. They said there's been certain octaves that have been taken out. Wow. So you hear music, but you don't hear music. The only way you can truly hear music, well, two ways. Number one, you'll see, if you go to the CD store now, well, since 1997, they started making CDs on the equivalent of an album. But they cost more. You'll see the one for $14. Then you'll see one that say 19 or 23. You were like, why is the CD $23 and this one here is $14? That's because the one that's $23 that costs more got the octaves in it. You see what I'm saying? So they're dealing with the sound. So in so many words, you don't hear sound with digital. They have designed it so you hear the music, but you don't really hear the music. The reason why I know, I was in Indiana doing a lecture a month ago in Indianapolis. The sister put on, she had a little album collection. And she had damn near closing play turntable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk bad about it, but it was a piece of crap made by Sony. Hope when she get the tape, she don't. You know, I got a Technique, what, 600, 6,000 or whatever. It's a difference. But she put on a Bobby Humphrey album. And there's a song called, it's the one that's almost a Hispanic song. It's called Bella Saza. What's the name of the song? Anybody familiar with Bobby Humphrey? There's a song called Bella Saza. It's a song on it's also on the Greatest Hits LP, but it's on the album Fancy Dancer. It's the first and second song, Fancy Dancer. And she put it on, and I couldn't get enough of it. I said, I'm going home and dig this out of my stack. So she was telling her husband to find the CD, because she had the same CD, because she wanted to play it in the car on the way to the airport. So we got it, and I played it the whole time I was there. And we was going to the airport. She said, I got the CD. And she put it in, brand new CD, rode to the airport, and I wasn't feeling it worth a damn. I said, man, I've been playing this thing, and I just played it a few minutes before I left the house on the LP, and she had the worst turntable, and it was picking up all the stuff. But her turntable was better than the CD. You see what I'm saying? It was better than the CD. So the more octaves, and so one way you can do it is with the LP. Another way is with any good equalizer. Don't even have to be a 31 band. Any good equalizer. You see what I'm saying? That you can hook up. Because most systems now don't come with tape to monitor. So you go get a preamp and plug it in certain things. You might plug it into the alternative, the auxiliary. But to get you a good equalizer and work with the octaves and work with the thing so you can get that sound back. Because the digital, you hearing sound, but you're not hearing sound. It's not going to the inner ear melanin. So it doesn't heal you. It doesn't heal you. You see, because I remember when I was working, you know, I work now, but I'm talking about on the conventional thing. I had to get up in the morning and stuff. I'd get up and I'd be damn near dead. And I'd get under that music and them headphones with that LP, and I would heal myself. So you can heal yourself right now by going, because the only thing you're doing is going to the quantum world. Mm-hmm. What we're dealing with now is there's a whole, now you're saying, well, what has this got to do with stuff now? Because the quantum world has opened up. Mm-hmm. Now, which means there's an alternative dimension that's inside of you that you are in residence of, It's just that you don't know that you resonate. So in so many words, there's a whole other field, and if they didn't have the heart machine creates the weather now. Mm-hmm. Because if they didn't create the weather, because I saw it in Atlanta, it got up to 80 degrees in February. And then the planes would come with the chemtrails and drop it every day, and then it would get back cold. And I said, oh, they're creating the weather because the quantum world, the atmosphere and everything has already changed, as well as your DNA. So as a result, if they didn't artificially create a certain simulated weather, you would already know that this dimension is already done dissipated to a whole nother realm. And the only thing that's keeping it from being that other world is your mind still thinking it's Tuesday 1980. And it's a whole nother realm that's going down. And the entire government is dismantling under Iraq. They'll never be able to come out of Iraq. I told people that the week before they went into the war in 2003. I said they'll never be able to come out of that. Never. There's going to be a war that will start and it will last until this country. Well, that's not too far-fetched. Hell, England and France had a war for 100 years. And it doesn't have to do anything with military might. It has something to do with the spirit world and the change of certain situations that have to keep them there based on ego, based on their temperament, and based on politics. And they didn't learn it from Vietnam. It was a spiritual war. And they got beat in Vietnam, they got beat in Korea. You see what I'm saying? And the only reason why they celebrate World War II, because it was a family fight. You see what I'm saying? But, so there's stuff that's being dismantled every day. So what's reading on one area of the everyday news, there's something going on the other area that's something spiritual. And they got players in the game. Okay, you got the god Horus. Anybody know the story of Horus? It's the basic hero story. This is Harpocross, the baby Horus. This is very key. That's the picture of one, because that Harpocross is back on the scene. We know this because you can pick up the energy from certain things since January. You say, what the hell is this? What you talking about? Harpocross, or the baby Horus, is nothing but your soul in the infant state that has just woke up. And in order to identify with it, you got to come out of adulthood and become a child again. That's why I say get into your music, or get into whatever you was in high school and elementary school. See what I'm saying? It might take, go and get you a freeze pop, gingerbread cookies, or some Mary Jane candy. It don't matter, because you're trying to tap into something before you was murdered in the left brain aspect of ego. Because you're going to have to be the children, because your children are now the adults. Because their mind and ego based on the hip-hop thing say you got to be hard. And as a result, it shuts down the spirit realm. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be a kid. See what I'm saying? You got to be a kid. You know, I don't know, pop your wife in the face with some spitballs. I don't know what this might take. Fart on her hand. It don't matter, because so you thinking it's funny, but what you're doing is you got to come out the rigid monster world of what is called adult in the Western Hemisphere. You see what I'm saying? You see, you got to become that child again. Y'all all right? You understand where I'm coming from here? Now, okay, so I want to do that because this Harpocross is now, and this is interesting here. I want to show you this.